Hey there, Tom. Here, FlipAnythingUSA. Want to talk about a few things, update you a little bit on the app, but also want to tell you about another website, another app that I think is really worthwhile. People should know about it. Certainly everybody in real estate or that plans on being in real estate. Let's see here. So what's going on? You know, I've been making money in real estate since I was 19 years old, and I've always considered it to be the greatest way to wealth. Barring really just about anything else. I don't know any other way for the average guy to get ahead quicker than to simply concentrate his efforts into making good decisions regarding real estate, building your empire the old-fashioned way. Just save and buy and buy wisely and buy under market and build your wealth. Well, one of the things that's going on across the country is investors like myself, we've become just kind of like cows to be milked. Okay, because we got an address, we're stuck, and your city squanders your money like crazy. This isn't even political. This is just common sense. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter where you fall in the political spectrum. The politicians derive their money or their power by the ability to hand out our money, give it out, and give it to the people that give it back to them, in one way or another. And very sad but true. And I've learned it the hard way. I've seen it enough. But there is a website that I really would like everybody to go check out. It's called ReformCow, ReformCow. That's ReformCow, and that stands for Reform Cities of the World. And you can go in there and register with your zip code and your name and your phone number, your cell phone. You got to have a cell phone because it's going to call you back and confirm that that you're a real person. But the beauty of it is you can create a username. You don't have to use your real name. You can be anonymous, but nevertheless you're very real. And this is social media on a regional social media, and this is very, very powerful, and I'll tell you why. Your city politicians, you could have a problem in your town and you could make a Facebook page and just scream about how frustrated you are with the stupidity and the stuff that they're doing, and you could create a page that might even get 1,000 likes or something like that. Well, the problem is it's 1,000 likes from people all over the world. That they don't fear that. They only fear the people in their immediate community, and that's the beauty of ReformCow. Hey man, how you doing? Glad you're watching. So please go in to ReformCow and join. You go in there and just join, and what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to open up your city, and you can create an activism page, or you can create a post about maybe poorly run services in your area. And I'll take some questions at the end here. I want to tell you guys about this app. And it's a website. You can go into this website, ReformCow, 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 and go in there, and because it's important. Because listen, the city is slowly. Each city makes terrible decisions with your tax money, and the only way, some of them do pretty good, but the cities that open themselves up to be accountable do the best. And like, I'll give you an example. Wherever city you're in, whatever city you're in, go do a search in YouTube for your city and look for a city paid promotion. It could be about anything. But what you'll find is that what they'll do is they'll disallow or disable comments, and they'll disable thumbs up and thumbs down. So they act like they want your feedback, but the fact is they don't want your feedback. They just want to promote their agenda, and they try to sell it to everybody as, oh, there's so much demand for this. But they never do anything to quantify it. And that's what's so important about this site, is that you can call your city out on doing something ridiculous and stupid, and you don't even have to put your name on it. You can do it anonymously. But then the rest of the community around you can look at this item that you've raised, and they can either thumbs up and agree with you, or thumbs down and disagree with you. And this goes to corruption of council members, overzealous city workers, because city person can really make a lot of hell for you. They can bother you. City inspectors, health inspectors, if you're building something, they can fail you and keep setting you back unfairly. And there's ways to counter that too. You go get yourself an engineer, have your engineer inspect it. Engineer trumps a city inspector any day, because they have far more education. But these are, I know, the problem is some of this stuff you'll never appreciate until you go through it. But really, I'm telling you, get ahead of it now. Like I'm trying to tell you about everything. I give jump starts every way I can. This is a big one. This is a big one. You want to get in and join that Reform Cow and experiment. Go in there and just go look at what people are complaining about. And you can even create your own, you open up the news and you'll see something, about your city. And you can bring that to light on the Reform Cow site, and other people can go in and make comments. And that way, when the city's trying to sell you something, like a new tax or, some new proposition that doesn't make any sense to you, you can go in there and you can thumbs down their idea, you can comment on it. But best of all is they can redirect the city back to it. But what I was going to say is, you'll see city-paid promotions and stuff that they put on YouTube that your taxpayer dollars are paying for, but they don't allow comments. So you can demand that your city allow comments and allow thumbs up and thumbs down, so that they can quantify what they're trying to sell, and the public can also have true and open feedback. Anyways, so just want to point that out there. Also, those folks that get on that Reform Cow, they're going to get my app first. I'm going to put you at the top of the list. I told Reform Cow I'd plug them, and you guys that join there, if I see your name in there, if they, I've got my short list of emails. If you're in there, we'll certainly put you at the top of the list for getting the new app. Which, by the way, the new app is now ready for iOS, for iPhone now too. So very excited about that. We just got some minor testing to do now, and just need to get a few more people signed up for it. And so that's going to be really cool. So let's see. How do you get around title seasoning when flipping, when the buyer is financing? So, Job, I'm not sure what you mean by title seasoning. When you talk about a seasoned note, I mean, a lot of times I'll carry a note, and I'll get more if I want to resell the note. We're talking about if, let's say, I sold a property, and I carry a note for, whatever, $10,000 or $100,000, whatever, and somebody's making payments to me on that note. But now I want cash. I don't want just this monthly payment. So after a year of collecting on that, that's considered a seasoned note, meaning it's done. It's seasoned, it's proven, it's ready, it's proven to be a good bet. In other words, they've been paying on it for 12 months as agreed. They're probably going to continue making their payments forever, right? It's at least adds some credibility to the person that's paying on that note. So I'm not sure exactly what you mean when you say title seasoning. Just don't know what you mean by that. You might have to clarify and add something. Anybody else got any questions? Anything going on? Any excitement? Anybody making a deal, trying to make a deal in the middle of something? I've actually have a couple little things, not too little, but I've got one big building that I've been hoping to buy. I've actually had 2 opportunities to buy it in the last 15 years. I passed on it twice, One time I did get involved in trying to buy it, and I just didn't bid quite enough. Somebody else got it, and but I'm not too worried about it. Like I say, you live long enough, or you're around long enough, you'll see stuff come up for sale. Like I say, the very first property I bought when I was 19 years old was a property that belonged to my boss. So who'd have thought I'd be buying the property that where I really had my first real job out of. This says we got a bad connection. Let me know if there's any issues on the connection for you guys. Here it's telling me it's bad. Half the time it tells me it's bad. It's actually usually still pretty good. So anyways, I really want to emphasize that checking out that Reform Cow. In fact, I can maybe even show you. Maybe I can show you. Let's see how this will work. So, let's see. We can try. All right. So here's. No, I don't even know if that's going to work. No, probably not. I'll leave that alone. Anyways, you go in, you post. I'll tell you what's going on in here. Like somebody made some activism pages in here on their city about kind of stupid stuff that their city's doing, and there's one in here, Austin Code Compliance Department, overzealous and abusive, shows shitty shaking people down, pester them for real no basis. They went through, they searched a guy's house, and over nothing and found nothing, but they ended up having about 5 cops, and they've got a good YouTube video on there. They really show you some great YouTube videos. They got a YouTube video of a code enforcement officer coming into a guy's house and walking through it. He's knocking and knocking, and nobody's home, and he's looking around. He ends up walking through the guy's house. Well, the guy had security cameras and caught them all, got it all on video. That's the kind of stuff, that's the kind of stuff that's just such bullshit. And there's other things. There's other things like if you want to get a permit pulled to do something, it should be easy to do. There should just be clear-cut rules on how to get that and make that happen. And but what you'll find is that it's becoming more complicated, and the city almost forces you to have to hire somebody on the outside to help you. Well, that person that's helping you, he just knows people. It's cronyism. He knows people within the council or within the staff and within the departments that'll help him because he buys them lunch. They'll help him because maybe he gives the council, money when they run for re-election. He gives them a little, a few $100, and I do the same thing, to be honest. And because when you give money, then you kind of go to the list. You're more on the top of the list. They kind of owe you a favor. If they look, they go, oh yeah, this guy, donated to my campaign. And whenever I give money to a council person, I always say, hey, I want to know that I have your ear if I need it. Meaning, if I've got a problem, I want to know that you're going to listen to what I got to say. And that's what I always condition any donation I give. It's always based on that that you're going to listen to me. You're going to listen to me because I'm part of the public. So okay, let's see. We got a question here. When selling my flips and the buyer is going through traditional financing, for example FHA, I'm finding there are title seasoning requirements and won't allow a double close. Any suggestions? Okay. Well, you have to be more specific. I mean, I'm trying to even, I've seen alienation clauses where they don't allow you to pay off a note right away. So if you're the one trying to get an FHA loan and resell it and do a double close and like close and then pay off that loan, and then somebody else has a new loan, I can see a conflict there. That doesn't sound exactly like what you're describing. So I need more information. I don't know. I'm sorry, title seasoning is not something I'm familiar with, but it sounds like they're creating different contingencies or putting some things in the way, but I don't see how that could affect you. if you're doing a double close, unless FHA is requiring that some history you can't provide, I'm not sure. All right, let's see. Jump to Ryan here. He's looked at 2 deals today. 139, figures it's worth 180. Owner finance, 4 units, 36K, 35,000. Oh, another one, 35,000, worth 80,000. That's a single family home. Well, man, that sounds very interesting. It sounds like you're going to work. Hey, good luck with that, Ryan. That sounds really interesting. Yeah, I mean, a house, if you can get a house for 35,000 bucks, I'm not sure where you're at, but, you know, sounds like a no-brainer to me. You just got to look at the neighborhood and what's around it. You know, be sure to go into Zillow, and you can at least kind of get one point of reference to see what other like-size properties and, you know, like-size, you know, 2-bedroom, 3-bath or whatever, you know, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, whatever. You know, take a look and qualify it best you can. Get that point of reference for sure. All right, so back to Job. The lender says because I haven't owned the property for at least 90 days. Oh, so they won't let. See, don't you love government? Oh, God. Yeah, I guess I don't know. You know, government screws everything up. It seems like nothing worse than the government trying to help, right? Yeah, I don't know any way around that unless you can close it and hold it for 90 days. But yeah, it seems ridiculous. It seems ridiculous to me. But you know, nothing new. I see. Yeah, that's it. I'd never run into that before. So, but I see the issue. I see the problem. So what he's got is the lender requirement. He's doing a double close. He's got a property tied up. He's buying and then he's reselling at the same time. Yeah. You know, unless you can convert it, I mean, maybe you could make a deal. Maybe you've got it signed. I assume you got the deal signed. If you don't feel like you can close it yourself, maybe what you can do is make the seller your seller. Make the seller your seller, and you know, just figure out how you can get a piece. Stop. Figure out how you can get a piece of it that way. It wouldn't be an assignment. It wouldn't be well, it kind of would be an assignment, but I mean, I don't know if you maybe. I mean, let me put it this way. Maybe as a last choice, you could make a new deal with the guy that you're buying it from and tell him that you want to sell it to this other person, and you want him to sell it direct, and that you've got this margin of an extra 25,000 bucks or whatever it is, and tell him you'll give him an extra 10, and you'll just be one of the liens. In other words, when the deal closes, you'll be more or less a second lien of 25,000, whatever you want to make on it. So that way, when they close it, the guy that you were given 35, now you're giving him 45, or you know, whatever it is, and you've got another 30 that's in the form of a second trust deed. You can kind of create that lien, and then that way, when it closes, you'll get paid off through closing, and that way he is buying it direct from that guy. You know, I've made deals similar. Let me explain. I've had deals that I've resold to people that I had such great financing in place, and now when they were coming to buy from me, I was going to pay off the loans that I had. You know, in other words, I have, let's say, a $500,000 loan I'm paying on it, 3%, and these people are buying it from me, and they're getting a new loan at 6%. And so at the closing table, I've said, hey, look, how would you like it if I carried $500,000 of this deal at, at 3%, and explain how that'll save them, you know, $80,000, $90,000, and that but if I do, I'll give them that loan in place. I'll let them take that loan, but they have to pay me an extra $30,000. It's worth it. It's more than worth it to them, and I've done that. So I've had people coming in paying cash, and I'll say, hey, listen, you know, because people get money from different places. You know, I mean, I borrow money on lines of credit, or you know, even if I don't, if I pay cash, I still expect a good return. And if I could borrow money at 3%, I'll take it, because I want to make more than that on my cash anyway. So I'm happy to borrow money at such a low rate, because usually I stand to make, you know, anywhere from 8 to 15% on my own cash. So you could consider that maybe. Again, I realize it gets a little more, you know, that actually might be a good question for Flipman. Maybe check out flipman.net, you know, youtube.com/flipman.net, and he has a fair amount of double closings, and you know, there's a chance he's run into that before. So I would actually guess that probably he has, but I'm not sure what he'd do, but it'd be interesting to find out. I'll ask him to. So you don't want to do an assignment because they will see how much you're making. I get it. But, I mean, as a last resort, maybe you can just make it an opportunity where they're going to make a little more and you're going to make something too. And, you know, ideally you want to get yourself in a position where, you know, you can close it. If you know it's worth it, you want to close it anyways. And so, you know, maybe you say, look, I can close it and you can make whatever you're going to make, or we can do this kind of a double close thing where I'm just in the form of a second, and I'll let you make another 10 and I'll make 30. And you can just say, if that doesn't go through, then I'll buy it under the original conditions anyways. So hey, if you're just watching, be sure to like my video, maybe the one you're watching. I appreciate it if you would. I try to give the best advice I can. I've been doing this stuff a long time, and so anyhow, I don't do it for money, but I do it for points. I do it for likes. Anyways, what else? Anybody got anything else? Or that's kind of an interesting. I'm glad you raised that up, Joe. That's you know, it's a new one. I hadn't run into that before, and you know, it used to be a long time ago. FHA loans, you could buy a loan from somebody that had previously had an FHA loan, and you could assume their loan. You could just assume it. There was no alienation clause, no due on sale clause. You were just allowed to assume it. And VA loans were that way too, and a lot of stuff. But you know, things have changed since. And it kind of goes back to my whole point of this thing with the reform cow. You know, the government's just become so intrusive. They want to stick their finger in everybody. It just sucks. But you know, it's a necessary evil. I've been, you know, and always pay your taxes first thing. Make that your priority. Never get behind on your taxes. Always want to make your taxes first thing you take care of. That's funny. Yeah, my arm hurts. I can barely shave, so I'm not feeling very tough. I can barely lift my little glass of whiskey here. But so what's up, Tony? You got anything going? Are you flipping anything? Are you working on anything? So you know, Amazon is talking about moving into one of about 7 different cities. One of those cities is the city I have investments in, and actually maybe 2. But I've got one person holding off on making a decision to make a deal with me until they find out whether or not Amazon is going to land or not. And I don't think they're going to be in the city that I have an investment in, to be honest. I think New Jersey offered them like $7 billion to move, and I don't think that the city I'm in can match that, and I don't think they should either. But you know, it's interesting how things can really change the values of your properties. Sometimes you know, a new big industry moves in, or you know, there's just things can really put you on the map. And all of a sudden you just, you know, you see your town booming. I know Boise, Idaho is actually doing quite well right now. I'm going to have to go take a look. I got a brother over there too. But I heard the skyline's changing, which is a good sign. When the skyline's changing, it means they're building, things are happening. Boise too is pretty cool too. You know, it's got plenty of good weather. Not all year round, but when it's cold, you know, you can go skiing, and you know, there's a lot of outdoor recreation. That's a lot of fun that a lot of people enjoy. So I'm kind of thinking Boise might be kind of a cool place. Maybe, you know, maybe a condo. I don't know. When I say condo, I'm talking about not so much for investment, but for play. You know, one thing I do like, I like when I go visit a place. I like room service. I like where I can walk to a bar and a restaurant and walk back. So I do kind of like some of that city stuff. Love Manhattan. Love New York. But I appreciate some of the things that are, you know, the amenities that are around somewhere like Boise, which is, you know, I'm not a hunter, but I mean, I have nothing against hunting, but you know, you can fish, and you can hunt, and you can ski, and you can snowmobile. You know, I always think about when I was a kid, I lived in this trailer park, and this guy that lived next door to us, we lived in space 15, and Jack Lipkowitz lived in space 14. And I remember him, he had a Jeep, which I thought was pretty cool, you know, top down, open air Jeep. And he worked with my dad, or worked at, you know, at Lockheed or some aircraft place. And I remember talking to him, and he said he had a place in Florida. I was probably 12 years old. And he told me he had a place in Florida, and he was going to be gone. He said, well, see you, kid, I'll see you in a few months. And I said, well, where are you going? He says, I got a place in Florida. He goes, I'm going to be living on the beach for the next 3 or 4 months. And of course, you know, I'm living in a trailer park next door to him, and I'm thinking, oh man, that sounds awesome. and I remember saying pretty much that's what I said to him. And he goes, he had a toothpick in his mouth, and he goes, you gotta plant it, kid. And I never forgot that. You know, it was just a great. And then he drove off into the sunset in his Jeep, and I never forget that. He goes, gotta plant it, kid, with this toothpick stuck in his mouth, and he drives off in his cool Jeep off to Florida to, you know, live for the summer or whatever it was. Maybe it was the winter, probably the winter, now that I think about it. But so yeah, I'm looking at stuff. Oh, you got a positive deal. You inherited a property. Talking with the son. Oh, an inherited property. You didn't inherit it. Hopefully you're going to get it though, huh? Well, that inherited property, I can tell you that inherited wealth is the most quickly squandered and least appreciated. So, you know, I'd say you stand a good chance of getting a very good deal, just because I've never seen most of the people that are heirs of inherited money, they don't appreciate it enough, and they piss it away. And if my kids are watching this, whether it's now or 10 years from now, or hopefully 30 years from now, don't squander the wealth that you inherited from me, please. Make sure you're getting every dollar for it. So, that's what I got to say on that inherited wealth stuff. Be careful. It's a great, I mean, be careful if you're inheriting, man. I mean, it's like they say, you know, a fool and his money are soon parted. And that's really the test. When somebody inherits money, you'll see if you got a fool or not, because so many times, you know, you inherit money, and, you know, one guy gets the property and the other guy gets the experience of losing money because he didn't do his due diligence and didn't do it right. So anyways, well, that's cool. I'm glad people are out there working and trying to make it happen. You know, right now I kind of broke myself with you know, buying these last couple houses, paid cash for them, and put a fair amount of money in the 3-day deal. I gave a quick update on that the other day. So I'm going to get somebody in there renting that, but I do have the 2 houses. I'm a little late putting them on the market. I've been talking about, you know, I forget what I called it. I told you about the house that I've been paying on for 15 years, just about paid off, $5,000 on it. I paid $105 for it. It's probably worth somewhere between $450 and $550. I'm not even sure yet. I've actually seen some houses for $650 now in the neighborhood that I'm thinking, man, you know, it happens quick. That's what's interesting. You know, with commercial, industrial, and that type of property, I can tell you immediately what it's worth, pretty much by what the maximum rents are in the area. I can calculate what that property is going to be worth to investors like myself. at the discounted rate that I wanted, and maybe at the full price that I might be able to resell it for. But with houses, residential properties, that'll sneak up on you. It sneaks up on me too, because the next thing you know, they're worth double. They're worth double, and because there's no rhyme or reason. Housing does not get set by the return on investment. It's purely emotional. People will take an area that's $200,000 today. In 3 years from now, maybe there's some sort of development that makes it better or special, or maybe I give you an example. There's an area where an airport was. When the airport moved out, all of a sudden there wasn't all the noise. All of a sudden it was still very nice, close proximity to downtown, and all of a sudden the property values that were at 100,000 were now 400, and now they're pushing 800 and 800,000. And this is for the area that was considered more the slum of the area, which you call the wrong side of the tracks. And now all of a sudden it's the right side of the tracks. So, if you ever see something like that, that's something to be aware of. If they got some big nuisance area, and maybe it's even like it could be a paper mill. Paper mill puts out a lot of stink and a lot of noise. But if they ever closed a paper mill, it'd probably devastate the area because there wouldn't be any work. But if there was something like that, where you take away something like that, and then all of a sudden that property, that stinky property nobody wanted to be near, all of a sudden it's worth a lot. In fact, thinking about Twin Falls, Idaho, I was looking at Twin Falls, Idaho one time, and I went there, and it's where Evel Knievel tried to jump the Snake River Canyon, and there was a house there. I actually made an offer on it, right next to where he tried to make the jump. Beautiful home, right on the edge of the Snake River Canyon. Really, really was pretty spectacular to stand on the deck and look down into the canyon. Just make you dizzy looking over the edge. Well, but that wasn't the main deal. But anyway, I tried buying that for like $400,000. It would have been a great deal. But my point is all the lots that were right on the edge, where you could walk off and fall to your death, all of those properties were like dirt cheap, like 15 grand for an acre or a half acre that was right on there. Nobody wanted it out there. Like, why would anybody want to have a house next to a cliff? Okay, well, then all of us Californians started coming in, and we're like, man, that's a great view, I'll take it. And all of a sudden those $15,000 lots became $80,000 lots, and like that. And I remember there was 80 acres out there, and I remember it was up for like $320,000. It was really cheap. It's about $4,000 an acre, a little less. And I immediately jumped on it. Somebody else beat me to it. But that was 80 acres of land that was just right there. The sewer was nearby. That's the other thing. If there's a sewer line, if there's water, all that stuff, it can add value. So sometimes you might see a road getting torn up, or you find out they're bringing a sewer out somewhere. You want to get on that if you can, and get a piece of that frontage, that road frontage, where you've got that sewer access to, because it can mean millions of dollars to you. And anyways, I was actually mountain biking earlier today with my boys, and I was looking at a creek. They usually take the creek is where they'll end up running the sewer line. They'll dig up a creek and put the sewer line underneath the creek and kind of patch it back up, because the creeks kind of find their own level, right? Water level where they're slow running. That's about the flow you want for a sewer too. So a lot of times they'll dig up the creeks and put the sewer 5 feet below the creek, and they'll just follow that out to wherever across the whatever topography that is there. Let's see. Yeah, what else? Hey Anthony, how you doing? So anyways, just wanted to check in. It's Sunday, and probably cut it short here pretty quick, but be sure to jump on that Reform Cow if you would, and like I said, you guys get in there and you join that thing. Make a page for your city. You could bring up, you just never know. Every city usually has something, a new tax, a new ordinance, a new something, or there's somebody acting poorly that works down at the city departments. Report them. Bring attention to them. You can even just go YouTube your city of wherever you are, and write city of, wherever you are, and then write complaint or abuse or corruption, and you'd be surprised. you'll find out people have been complaining about people in, departments and people in particular in your city for years, and these guys are getting away with it. And but that reform cal kind of makes it a more of record, but it allows people within the community that mean the most to the council people, the voters, are the ones that mean something to them, because they're the ones they fear, and the ones that they have to appease. They can go in, people can see that and say, hey, look, this guy's treating me terribly in this department. And I look at Reform Cal, and it's not the first time this kind of crap's going on. So I want a supervisor. I don't want to have to deal with this kind of, I don't want to deal with this clown anymore. And so it's very important you do that. It'll pay back in the long run. It'll definitely pay back. So please check out Reform Cal. Please like videos, subscribe, and again, if you get in there on that Reform Cal and sign up, I'll make sure you get the app. You'll be one of the first ones to get it, I promise you. So be sure to send me an email, tom@FlipAnythingUSA.com, and just write either iPhone or Android in the subject line. And if you let me know that you joined Reform Cal, then man, I guarantee you're at the top of the list. And like I said, I got both apps done now. We got some minor testing to do, and I will make damn sure that you are at the top of the list, and we'll do it. Oh, sorry, Anthony. Yeah, I apologize. I kept talking. Anthony had a question, but he forgot. Yeah, that's my world, dude. Happens all the time. Well, Anthony, are you working on a deal right now? You got anything that you're concentrating on, or is it houses or duplexes or commercial property or related to something like that? Which, if you guys are looking at commercial property, industrial property, something you always want to look for is 3-phase electricity. Remember that, 3-phase electricity. And what you'll look for is, if you don't identify it right away, if you want to know if it's available to the property, when you see a telephone pole that's got the big transformer cans, look like large 5-gallon buckets, when you see 3 of those, each one of those is a leg of electricity. So if you say 3 of them, then you've got 3-phase, and that's important. It's really important to industrial guys like me that have big equipment that we rely on that sort of thing. But it's also more efficient, saves you money on your electricity. If you've got 3-phase electricity to your property, I even have it actually at my home, and I have 3-phase air conditioning system and stuff like that, because it actually saves you money. And what that is, if you don't know, you've got a 110 leg and a 110 leg and a 220. So in other words, you've got 110 coming in 2 places and 220 coming on the 3rd leg. And for whatever reason, and I'm not an electrical engineer, but it creates better efficiency, and it certainly saves you money on your bill. And but yeah, it's a requirement too for the heavy equipment. So anyways, I guess that's it. Anthony, you can always write your question in later, and I'll certainly come back to it. Put it in the comments below. I'm kind of tired, but just going to say you guys have a great night, and you put it in there, I'll address it. And we'll be having some more videos. Probably do another lesson, a whiteboard lesson tomorrow, or I'll try to. And so if you guys got any ideas, if there's anything you want to know about, maybe I'll include that in the whiteboard video that I'll make tomorrow. So anyways, that's it for now. Flip Anything USA. Again, please share, subscribe, and be sure to write me at tom@FlipAnythingUSA, and share that out to your friends that might need the app. It's really going to be very cool. And by the way, sharing that app out to other people could be very beneficial to you. I won't tell you why just yet, but it could be very beneficial to you to share that app to other people too. So anyways, that's it for now. We'll see you guys later. Good night.